Greetings and welcome to this awareness session on outcome-based education. Hello friends, I am Dr. P.A. Patil, working as Professor and Head of Mechanical Engineering Department at Jayawantrao Sawant College of Engineering, Hadapsar, Pune. As per the revised policy of education, outcome-based education is mandatory to all professional colleges. Today's session, I am going to cover what is outcome-based education, that is, what is OBE, what are the various terminologies associated with OBE, what are the outcomes of engineering program, and how to address these outcomes during your graduation. OBE, which stands for outcome-based education. Outcome means range of knowledge and skills that concretely measurable. Engineering graduates must acquire skill and attitude in addition to knowledge to justify outcomes of his or her graduation. There are various terminologies associated with this OBE. Vision mission statement, VM statements. Every institute has some goal. That goal is called as a vision. And in order to achieve that goal, the institute or department sets some processes. The processes are called as generally mission statements. Another terminology that is PEO, which stands from Program Educational Objectives. The student or graduate supposed to address this objective 3 to 5 years after graduations. So these objectives are generally measured 3 to 5 years after the graduations. So every department defines certain objectives. The next terminology is PO, which stands for Program Outcomes. So every graduate must possess these qualities or characteristics. So program outcomes are also called as a graduate attributes. Then program outcomes are common for all engineering programs, but for all engineering programs, there are certain branches. So for a particular branches, there are specific outcomes. So the specific outcomes called as a program specific outcome. So based on the domains, the program specific outcomes are defined. Then comes next, that is CO, that is called as a course outcomes. Every course has some outcomes based on their units, based on their contents. So course outcomes are generally mapped with the program outcomes or program specific outcomes. So there are level of learning generally given by Bloom's level. The lowest level is remembering, followed by understanding, followed by applying, analyzing, evaluation, and creation. So these are the 6 levels of understanding. Generally in the classroom, the 3 levels are addressed, that is remembering, understanding, and applying the things. So remaining 3 levels generally apply out of the classroom, that is during the laboratory or during your project work, during your industrial visits or some workshops conducted like that. So analyzing things is generally addressed during your laboratory work, where you perform certain experiments and you take measurements and do the calculations. That is part of analysis. So when we do the conclusions, when we compare certain performance with another system, then that process is called as the evaluation. So in the laboratory also, we do the evaluation part, and the highest level of learning, that is a creations. So when you go through all these levels, then you are capable to create something. So generally this creation level is addressed during your project work, during your problem-based learning or mini project work. So these are the terminologies associated with the outcome-based education. So mainly the outcome means the program outcomes. So every student supposed to address or supposed to inculcate these graduate attributes at the end of the program or during the course of the flow. So these program outcomes there are 12 program outcomes for engineering graduates, and these program outcomes can be memorized with the help of 3 simple words, that is Kadi, Meet, Tommy. So that is K for engineering knowledge, A for problem analysis, D for design and development, I for investigation of the problem, M for modern tool usage, E for engineer and society, second E for environment and sustainability, Then T for ethics, T for teamwork and individuals, O for, that is the second letter used, that is for communication, M for project management, and I for lifelong learning. So these 12 attributes or these 12 program outcomes can be memorized with the help of these three simple words. Now these 12 program outcomes are mainly divided into four categories. So first category is the knowledge. So PO number 1 is belongs to knowledge category, where student supposed to acquire the knowledge. That is the one category. Then students supposed to acquire the technical skills. Under technical skills, we have three program outcomes related with the technical skills. That is, student must possess the problem solving ability, the student must possess the design capability or designing of something, and investigation skills. So these are the three technical skills where student supposed to acquire during the course of graduation. Then the third category is the supporting skill. Under the supporting skills, there are four POs. The usage of model, especially student must learn, must acquire some skills of software, must acquire some skills of applying some instrumentation or how to apply the instrumentation during their graduation. Then they must learn how to work in team, how to work as an individual, and the communication skills. So communication skill, and finally the project management skills. So these four are the supporting skills that support generally their technical skills. And the last one, that is attitude. Under the attitude, there are four POs: engineer and society, environment and sustainability, ethics and lifelong learning. So student must inculcate the attitude to address these four POs. So in conclusion, in summary, the program outcomes are mainly divided into four categories: knowledge, technical skill, supporting skill, and attitudes. Now, how to address these POs during your graduate program? So generally in the classroom, when we attend the classes, generally first three POs are addressed: engineering knowledge. So when we solve certain book problems given by the teacher, then we also address problem analysis. And if the problem is related with your designing of something, then design of and development, design part is also addressed. But in the classroom, all these POs are addressed either slightly or moderately. There is no substantial uh, mapping of the POs in the classroom. So classroom, only three POs are addressed, and that too at the low level. Then comes the laboratory. When we go to the laboratory, generally we exhibit some POs. So when we every experiment has certain objectives, certain aim. When we address those aims, means we are going to investigate something. So investigation skill is generally addressed during laboratory work. Also during laboratory work, we come across some software part, we come across some modern tool usage like instrumentation, we come across some data analytics. So a lot of modern tool usage we come across. So during laboratory, you also come across a modern tool usage. At the same time, when we perform the experiment as a team or as an individual, then the individual and team work is also addressed. And after completion of that particular experiment, the student supposed to present that experiment during their oral examination in front of examiners. So all these parts, they are addressed during laboratory. So in addition to that, when the student write the journal, when they conduct the practicals and they prepare their own journal, then ethics part is also addressed. So it is expected that students should generate that particular write-up at their own skills. So these are the some POs, those are exhibited or those are addressed during laboratory work. Once again, I repeat: investigation during the attainment of the practicals, then modern tool usage, teamwork and communications. So all these POs are addressed or they are attained during the course of laboratory work. There are few POs which are generally not addressed during your classroom and laboratory. So those POs are generally addressed during your project, seminar, PBL, and some survey work. So Generally, our project work, if we define the project work, there is a certain management. We set certain timelines to execute that particular project during the course. So we learn the project management things. Also, some finance is involved in the project. That finance, that is the planning of that finance, budgeting part, and execution of that budget. So all these parameter addressing the project management and finance part. At the same time, when we obtain certain solutions, so that solution it's mainly contributing to the technology and the society. So by addressing, if your solution is addressing to the engineer and society, then engineer and society is addressed. And thirdly, if the solution is helpful for the environment, if it doesn't harm the environment, and if that solution is sustainable, then the PO7 is also addressed, that is environment and sustainability. So in project, in addition to the remaining all POs, these three POs are especially addressed during your project and PBL activities. So altogether, project, seminar, and PBL activities addresses all POs with substantial level. Because during the execution of project, we apply the knowledge, we analyze the system, we design certain things, we investigation as well. Modern tool we come across the modern tools also. We use some softwares to analyze these things. And also ethics part is also important because the project report is your own creation. Also during project, we can address all level of learning as well. So up to creation. So this way, during our graduation, we can address all POs with the substantial level. So this is expected for every graduate. When we go through every course, you must ensure which POs you are addressing, which COs you are addressing, which level of learning you are addressing. So that is actually the crux of the outcome-based education. So at the end of this, these are the learning outcomes of this session. So at the end of this session, you will student will be able to define OBE, which is the long form of OBE is outcome-based education and its terminology. Student will be able to state different categories of graduate attributes. There are 4 categories of graduate attributes, that is knowledge, technical skill, supporting skill, and lastly, the attitude part. Thirdly, student will be able to state all the POs, and all the POs we can memorize with the help of 3 keywords, that is Cuddy, Meet, Tommy. So these are the 12 letters, every letter addressing one particular POs. So this way we can memorize the POs as well. Then thirdly, student will be able to explain where and how the POs are addressed during their graduation path. So with this, I complete this particular session. Thank you very much.